For more on what to expect from the upcoming APEC meetings, I'm joined now by Einar Tangen. He's a senior fellow at the Taihe Institute and chairman of Asia Narratives. Always great to see you, Einar.
Always a pleasure, Elaine.
What are some of the big themes of this year's meetings, and what does China hope to accomplish there?
Well, the biggest subtext of the meeting will be preparing for Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not in favor of regionalism. He doesn't like groupings. He's not particularly interested in sustainability or the environment. So a lot of this will be what does the group do when one of its members is not in line with its original idea of trying to promote regionalism, trade, sustainability, etc.
Exactly. What kind of trade can get accomplished? And it'll be interesting to see if there will be anything on the table with outgoing President Joe Biden. Einar, what are some of the economic challenges facing the world heading into 2025, especially with these Pacific-facing member economies?
Well, as you were just covering, this new port is going to cut, the logistics down by 12 days, but that depends on something being in that ship. And right now, 10% tariffs across the board, 60% on China. These are things that Donald Trump says he's going to do. If that does happen, it's going to be very difficult. But there's also other issues. Myanmar, the 5-point consensus has not been implemented. There's real concerns there about what is going on. It's one of the 54 conflicts that is presently going on in the world. But also South China Seas is an issue. You had the situation with the Philippines where they were caught red-handed with a disinformation campaign against Chinese vaccines, which obviously cost Filipino lives. It was acknowledged by the U.S. after being uncovered by Reuters, but there's never been any apology for this. And this is kind of contrary to this idea that we're going to try to work together. The story died, of course, 2 days later when there were ship collisions. But this is around the Thomas Shoals. But this is indicative of the kind of game playing that's out there. And that has to stop if ASEAN APEC is going to be effective.
Einar, all of that being said, I mean, there's also on the sidelines a sister sort of event called the CEOs Summit. What do you think can be done there when you have CEOs of some of these major global corporations trying to get business done outside of some of these geopolitical issues?
Well, it's very, very difficult. I mean, right now, a lot of them are trying to, Trump-proof their businesses, but it's very, very difficult. If it's 10% across the board, there's nothing you can do except go back to the U.S. But in that case, you're facing very high labor costs, slower times in terms of development, increased regulatory environments and things like this. So they're just, maybe looking at trade amongst the members and stop considering that U.S. is going to be the center of all the economic activity.
Tell us more about China's role in APEC policy and changing, shifting the routes. The Global South has been a big discussion point and a lot of goals concerning the Global South. Can some of that get done on the sidelines?
Well, no, absolutely. I mean, China has been leading by example. It has 10 years of the Belt, getting more than 10 years of the Belt and Road Initiative. And you just heard about, a very important project in terms of that port in Peru. So China continues to push this idea that they want more trade. And that's what I was alluding to when I said that the focus of trade, especially for CEOs, will start shifting. They want reliability, predictability. China is reliable and predictable. So it's going to be to China's favor, not because of anything it's doing today, but what it's been over the last 10 years, and also, the inability to know exactly what's going to happen in the U.S. Obviously, China's been growing its trade with all of these nations except the United States. So the U.S. may be an outlier. It's creating a kind of vacuum. China isn't trying to take over. It's simply providing a better model that is more acceptable to the countries in APEC, the 28.
Einar, about 45 seconds left. Want to get your thoughts quickly on the role of AI and technology when it comes to APEC growth. I mean, this technology keeps changing. Everyone's trying to keep up. Will that help some of these trade issues, some of the business going back and forth become more efficient?
Well, yes. I mean, in terms of logistics, there's no question about it. When you use an AI to schedule and make sure that the ships are full and they're going to their destinations, it's a lot easier than having somebody pore over the manifest and try to figure out where things are going. But AI is something that has to be shared if there's going to be an inclusive world. And then China has been doing that. They've been opening up research centers. They've been encouraging the idea of joint development of new technologies, making sure it's inclusive.